I purchase used trays that are generally silver-plated brass, and they look like that, or like this one down here. And I like ones that have a lot of deep engraving on them. And then I use a jeweler's saw, usually to take the edge off of these. The jeweler's saw is kind of like a hacksaw with a blade that's about as thick as a piece of dental floss. So I cut around here and end up with a piece of metal that I want to use. But the metal is very hard. You can see here, just feel that, how hard that is.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I have to anneal it, which is to heat it up with a torch, and then it becomes more malleable.
Quite a bit softer, yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes I take off. Sometimes most of the time they're brass. Occasionally I take the silver plating off it. Underneath it is copper. So this one actually is copper. But this is one that's brass. If you look at the edge, you can see it's brass, but it's got silver plating on the outside. After I anneal the metal, then I cut it into whatever shape I want. Often I use disc cutters, either round ones or square ones or oval ones, and I can cut out pieces like this. This is like from the edge of the tray. And these are cut from the center of the tray, and they keep the design of the original tray. For instance, I'll cut out a series of rectangles like this, then I'll drill holes in them and connect them with jump rings. And sometimes I solder the jump rings closed. And if I don't do anything to it, if I left the silver plating on it, this is kind of what it would look like. You can see silver here, but brass on the edges. I take the metal, then some of it I take all of the silver plating off, and then I use the metal, and I use it as if it was new metal. I solder different things. I sometimes put hinges on them. This one has a box clasp. And then, here's something that I've made into a cuff using a combination of wire and some metal. And lately here's a pair of earrings that I've made out of the same things, out of the brass that's been cut out of a tray. Lately I've been taking this metal and I'm plating it, so that instead of having a little bit of silver plating on it like that, I fully silver plate it, so the whole thing is silver. Or gold plated, like this one is gold plated. And as you can see, on this one, for instance, I've soldered bezels and set stones on each one of the pieces. And I cut the stones myself also. So there you have it. You have something that started out like this and ends up looking like that.
Do you have different forms that you use to shape them? Because I know that some of them are like not flat. Like, these have a little bit of curvature to them. They start out flat, and I use a pair of pliers that just puts a curve. Okay. Yeah, just puts a curve into them. It's just manually I do that. Everything is done manually. So I use the metal from that on a lot of the things that the animal things that I make, and a lot of bracelets and some necklaces that are actually made from the edges of the plate. Any questions?
Yes. Why don't you show a little bit of your animal jewelry?
Okay. Well, I'll show one of the ones that's not X-rated here. On these little ones here, I take a picture, and I use rubber cement, and glue that picture and paper onto the metal.
And then I use this saw, which is like kind of like a hacksaw, but the blade is like a piece of dental floss. It's very, very thin, and which allows me to cut out either a simple or an elaborate design on them. And then I take the metal, and I also cut a piece of copper. And sometimes I put a texture on the copper with a rolling mill. And then I solder that piece of brass to the copper. And then I also solder on a bale. And then this gets polished, and then I patina it. I put a solution, I put it in a substance that makes the copper turn dark and stays dark. And after it's all polished and all clean and everything, I put 2 or 3 coats of a clear lacquer on it so that the brass doesn't turn dark, and so the copper or the brass don't rub off on your skin. And I have a variety of different dogs and cats. I have a rude cat over here, which has been kind of popular. If you look closely at it, he's flipping a bird. So that's about it with the with the upcycled metal jewelry. I also work in silver and stones. I cut my own stones, and I make clasps using the stones that I've cut, and incorporate those often in the bracelets and things that I've made.
And where do you sell your jewelry at?
I sell my jewelry at Artisans on the Ave in Lake Worth. It's 630 Lake Worth Avenue, right next to Dave's Restaurant, across from Brogues, diagonally across from the Lake Worth Playhouse. Yeah, stop in and see us. Anyway, it's a great gallery, and I'd love to have you come in and look at my stuff and all the other 40 other local artists' work here. It's something to see.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Debbie.